Every civilization has a moment, a single heartbeat, when survival hangs by a thread. For Nara, that moment came twice. Once, in a distant galaxy she barely escaped, and now, on Earth, the nightmare she thought she left behind has returned, stronger, smarter, and far more ruthless. This is the story of a woman haunted by memories no human should carry, a mysterious child who may be the key to saving us all, and a world racing against time as the sky itself begins to burn. If you think you've heard every tale of invasion, this one will change everything.
The storm rolled across the mountains like a living beast, swallowing peaks beneath coils of black cloud. Lightning cracked open the sky, revealing the silhouette of a lone figure sprinting through the wet soil. Her breaths were sharp, each inhalation a knife against her ribs, but she didn't slow down. Not when the countdown ticking inside her head was growing louder. Nara Benton, ex-aerospace engineer, former survivor of the Andromeda invasion crisis, and the only person alive who had seen the eclipse beacon before it activated, had never expected to return to this kind of nightmare. Humanity had been at peace for 6 years, 6 blessed years of rebuilding, hope, and fragile unity. But the message she received 3 nights ago changed everything. A digital sigil, a rotating symbol of 3 concentric rings, fading in and out like a heartbeat, and a single line of code beneath it. The Eclipse Protocol is resuming. She hadn't slept since. Nara stumbled into a clearing, boots sinking into the mud as rain hammered the ground. Her jacket was torn, her hands were scraped raw. She turned in a slow circle, scanning the tree line for movement. The forest was silent, too silent. Even the branches seemed to be holding their breath. Then she saw the glow.
A faint bluish shimmer seeped out between the pine trunks, rising and falling like a dying flame. She crept toward it, her fingers brushing the cold metal of the plasma baton holstered at her hip. Every instinct in her body screamed that she should turn back, but she kept walking because the world depended on what she would find. The glow brightened as she approached until the trees parted and revealed a metallic orb hovering in the center of the open space. It was twice the size of a human head, covered in geometric lines that pulsed with faint light. The rain didn't touch it. Water parted mid-air before reaching its surface. Nara froze. She had seen a device like this once before, during the final battle above the Scorched Belt, but that one had been inactive, dead tech from a dying civilization. This one was awake. A sudden ripple burst across the orb's surface. The air trembled. Nara reached for her baton, but stopped mid-movement as a distorted voice crackled through the clearing. Nara Benton. Her pulse stopped for a full second. "Identify yourself," she shouted above the storm. The orb rotated slowly, its light focusing into a single beam directed at her chest. "We detected your neural signature. You were present at Beacon Site 1. You are required for Phase 2. "Phase 2 of what?" she demanded. The orb flickered violently, as if struggling to maintain coherence. "The Eclipse Protocol. The anomalies have returned. Time is collapsing. The rift will open in—" A sudden burst of static cut off the voice. The orb spasmed, its rings flashing red. Nara took a step back, instincts flaring. "Malfunction detected," the orb crackled. "Foreign interference." The device convulsed, then exploded in a burst of shattering light. Nara was thrown backward, hitting the ground hard. Rain splashed against her face as she scrambled up, vision blurry. The orb was gone, reduced to fragments that dissolved into the soil like melting ice. Her heart thundered.
Someone or something did not want the eclipse protocol to reach her. A branch snapped behind her. Nara spun around. A tall figure stood between the trees, broad shoulders, hooded coat, perfect stillness. She didn't hesitate, her hand shot to her baton. "Stay where you are," she yelled. The figure stepped into the faint glow of lightning. His face was half hidden by a beard and a soaked hood, but the eyes, those unmistakable silver-gray eyes, hit her like a punch to the gut. "Cade?" The man pulled his hood down, revealing the face she had not seen in 6 years. The face of the soldier who had saved her life dozens of times. The man she had thought was dead. Cade Voss gave her a tired half-smile. "Looks like trouble found you first," he said. She stared at him, breathless. "You died in the scorched belt," she whispered. "Your ship exploded." "Not everyone," he said, "and not everything you saw was true." Nara's mind spun. "How? Why? What are you doing here?" she demanded, stepping forward. Cade didn't answer at first. He looked at the spot where the orb had been. "So they reached you," he murmured. "I hoped I'd get here first."
Nara gritted her teeth. "Start explaining, right now." Cade met her gaze with the same steady intensity she remembered from the war. "The Eclipse Protocol wasn't destroyed," he said quietly. "It was buried by people who didn't want humanity asking certain questions." "The protocol caused the Rift Wars," Nara snapped. "It nearly wiped out every major city on Earth. And it will do worse if we don't stop what's coming." A cold gust of wind cut through the clearing. Nara shivered. "What's coming?" she asked. Cade's jaw tightened. "An entity that doesn't belong to this universe, something that feeds on collapsing timelines. The Eclipse devices were never weapons, they were warnings." Lightning flashed, illuminating the forest. Nara felt the ground tilt beneath her. "You mean the anomalies that caused the Andromeda invasion? They were just the beginning?" Cade nodded once. "The real threat is waking up again, and if the rift opens fully this time, there won't be a war." "What then?" "There will be nothing." A thunderclap shook the mountains. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The rain softened to a steady whisper, dripping through the leaves like falling beads of glass. Finally, Nara exhaled. "Then we stop it," she said. Cade gave a faint smile. "That's why I came back for you." Before she could respond, a low humming noise rolled across the clearing. The ground vibrated. Animals bolted through the trees, birds screeching into the dark sky. Nara's heart lurched. "No, it's too soon," Cade muttered. "What's too soon?" "The eclipse signal." A beam of white-violet light shot up from the distant mountains, illuminating the clouds in a spiraling vortex. The entire sky trembled as the rift pulse spread outward like a shockwave. Nara shielded her eyes. "Cade, what is that?" "The beginning." The pulse reached them. Sound vanished. The forest froze. The world flickered like a broken screen. Then everything went black. Nara awoke to silence. Her vision cleared slowly. She was lying on her back in a cavern lit by faint bioluminescent moss. The air smelled of stone, metal, and something faintly electrical. Her head throbbed as she sat up. "Cade?" she whispered. Footsteps echoed. He stepped into view, carrying a portable lantern. "You're awake," he said, relief in his voice. "Good." Nara looked around. "Where are we?" "Inside the mountain," he replied. "An old eclipse shelter. I dragged you here after the pulse hit." She rubbed her temples. "Everything froze. I couldn't move." "That's what a rift pulse does. It freezes matter at the atomic level. Small one this time. The next one might not be so gentle."
Nara inhaled sharply. "Why is this happening again?" she asked. "We shut down the last rift. I saw it collapse with my own eyes." Cade crouched across from her, lantern shadows shifting across his face. The collapse was temporary. The rift core survived, and now someone is accelerating its reactivation. Nara frowned. "Someone?" Cade nodded grimly. "The ones who vanished after the war. The ones who tampered with the Eclipse archives. The ones who tried to recreate reality itself. The Convergence Order.
A secretive group of physicists, strategists, and technocrats who believed humanity should evolve beyond physical constraints. Many thought they died in the Rift Wars. Apparently not. They want the rift open? Nara asked, horrified. They think they can control it, Cade replied, but they can't. No one can. If the rift fully manifests, time will unravel. Nara's pulse quickened. So what do we do? Cade stood. We stop them before they activate Beacon Site 2. She froze. There's another beacon? There are 5, he said, and they were always connected. Nara shook her head in disbelief. You told us there was only one. Because that's what the world needed to believe, he said. If people knew the truth, panic would have destroyed everything we were trying to protect. Nara stood, anger burning in her chest. You lied to us. He did what I had to. She stepped toward him. You think you're the only one carrying the weight of this? I lost friends in that war. I lost everything. Their eyes met. For a moment, old wounds resurfaced. Fear, regret, unresolved emotion. Cade spoke first. This isn't about the past, Nara. This is about what comes next. Before she could answer, the cavern shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cade grabbed her arm. They found us, he said. Who? He didn't answer. A metallic screech ripped through the tunnel.
Nara's blood ran cold. Sentry drones. Black-shelled, multi-jointed constructs that once served the Convergence Order. Machines built for silent killing. Cade shoved a small device into her hand, a spherical metallic disc. EMP charge, he said. Short range only. Use it if we're cornered. She nodded. Where are the weapons? He tossed her a baton, upgraded, heavier, pulsing with energy. Nara flicked it open. The blue blade crackled to life. The screeching grew louder. Cade's voice was steady. Follow me. Stay close. Don't hesitate. They sprinted into the tunnel as the drones entered the cavern behind them, red eyes glowing in predatory unison. Laser fire erupted, searing the walls. Nara and Cade dashed through a narrow passage, the heat brushing past their faces. The tunnel widened into a larger chamber, lit by faint holographic displays flickering with ancient data. A dead end. 3 drones skittered into the chamber from the opposite side. Nara's grip tightened. Cade! I see them. He activated his dual electroblades, their light cutting through the darkness. The drones lunged.
Cade met the first one head-on, slicing through its central joint. Sparks flew. Nara swung her baton, striking a drone's sensor array. The machine spasmed, crashing into the wall. The third drone fired a charged bolt. Nara, down! Cade slammed into her, pushing her to the floor as the bolt streaked overhead. The chamber ceiling cracked. Chunks of stone rained down. We need to move, Nara shouted. The drones recovered quickly. Cade grabbed her wrist. The EMP, now! Nara hurled the metallic disc into the center of the chamber. The drones turned toward it. The disk detonated with a blinding flash. A pulse of white energy expanded outward, ripping through circuits and metal. The drones convulsed, collapsing in twitching heaps. Silence returned. Nara exhaled shakily. That was close. Cade nodded. Too close. They shouldn't have found us this fast. She looked at him. So, what now? He retrieved a small holographic projector from his jacket and tapped it. A map appeared, 5 glowing points scattered across continents. These are the beacon sites, he said. Each one amplifies the rift. The convergence order only needs 2 active to stabilize the breach. And they already activated 1, Nara said softly. Yes, Beacon 1. Now they're after Beacon 2. Nara tightened her fists. Then we get there first. A faint smile touched his lips. That's why I knew I needed you. Before she could react, the ground trembled again, this time deeper, more ominous. Nara's skin prickled. Cade's expression hardened. They're initiating the second pulse, he said. We're running out of time.
The ground trembled again, low and ominous, as if something enormous beneath the mountain had awakened from a centuries-long sleep. Dust avalanched down the cavern walls, and tiny cracks zigzagged through the ceiling like racing lightning. Nara steadied herself against the vibrating stone. "Cade, that wasn't another drone." "No," he said, tightening the strap on his blade holster. "That was the rift wave, still small, but growing. We have to get out before this whole place collapses." He pulled a compact device from his jacket and pressed a button. A thin blue line shot across the wall, forming the outline of a doorway, an exit drawn into existence by high-frequency molecular destabilization. The rock shimmered, then dissolved into a circular opening. "Move," Cade ordered. Nara followed him into the narrow tunnel beyond. Their shadows stretched along the curved passage, illuminated only by the dim bluish glow of Cade's handheld lantern. "Where does this go?" she asked, ducking beneath a low arch. "Old evacuation route. Leads out of the mountain, down to the valley road. If we're lucky, we'll reach the dropship before the order tracks our signal again." Nara's breath echoed in the confined tunnel. The air smelled like cold metal and ancient dust, untouched for years. "How long were you hiding this place?" she asked. Cade didn't answer immediately. His shoulders stiffened. "Since the day the war ended." Nara frowned. "You mean the day you, quote, died?" He didn't look back. "Yes." A bitter edge crept into her voice. "So everyone grieved for nothing?" Cade paused for a fraction of a second. "It wasn't nothing, Nara. I had to disappear." "Why?" she demanded. He turned, meeting her eyes in the narrow tunnel. His voice was low. "Because I learned something the day the rift closed. Something dangerous." "What?" "That the collapse wasn't complete." His jaw tightened. "And that certain people with enormous influence, didn't want that knowledge reaching the public." Nara's mind raced. "The convergence order?" "Not just them," Cade said. "Some of our own military command, too. The order had infiltrated more systems than anyone believed. They wanted control of the rift. I had intel proving it." Nara stepped closer. "And instead of exposing them, you vanished?" "If I'd gone public, I would have been silenced before the report reached the surface," Cade replied. "Disappearing was the only way to keep the intel alive." Nara exhaled slowly. "And you couldn't trust me?" His eyes softened, a rare moment. "It wasn't about trust. It was about keeping you alive." Nara looked away, jaw clenched. She wanted to argue, shout, accuse him of abandoning her when she needed him most, but the ground rumbled again, cutting through her thoughts. Cade resumed walking. "Debate later, survival now."
Typical, she thought bitterly, but followed him deeper into the tunnel.
Nara's breath caught. "That's the rift," she whispered.
"The start of it," Cade said darkly. "A crack in the universe. Beacon 1 is strengthening it." She stepped forward, mesmerized and horrified. It looked like the sky itself was splitting open. "Humanity doesn't stand a chance if that thing widens," Nara muttered. "Which is why we have to shut down Beacon 2 before it feeds into it," Cade said. "There's no room for failure." Nara nodded grimly. "Then let's move." Cade activated his wrist panel. A faint hum echoed through the air as a matte black dropship shimmered into view, decloaking from spectral camouflage. Its curved hull looked like a hybrid of human engineering and recovered alien tech. Nara raised an eyebrow. "Is that?" "Yes," Cade said. "Reverse engineered from the same tech used in the Eclipse devices. This baby's fast, silent, and barely detectable." Nara smiled slightly. "Show off." He smirked. "You used to like that about me." She didn't respond. They boarded the dropship, and the doors sealed behind them with a hiss. Nara settled into the co-pilot's seat. The interface flickered to life, displaying readings from dozens of sensors. "Beacon 2 is in the Helios wastes," Cade said, pointing at the map projection. "It's buried somewhere in the old geothermal ruins." "That place is a toxic zone. No comms, no satellites, no help if things go wrong." Cade strapped in.
Exactly why the Order chose it. The dropship lifted off the rock platform, engines humming like a distant storm. As the ship angled toward the horizon, Nara glanced back at the shrinking mountain, then at the widening glow of the rift. A chill crept through her. The universe felt as if it were holding its breath. The stranger's signal. 2 hours into the flight, Nara noticed a light blinking on her panel, an encrypted transmission request. "Cade," she said carefully, "we're receiving a signal." He frowned. "From who? We're in stealth mode." "That's the problem. Someone's bypassing the cloak." Cade stiffened. "Put it on speaker, but be ready to cut it." Nara opened the channel. A distorted voice came through, metallic, warped, but undeniably human. "Is anyone alive out there?" Nara and Cade exchanged quick glances. "Identify yourself," Cade said sharply. Static crackled, then a clearer voice emerged. "My name is Riven Solace. I'm a former member of the Convergence Order, and I'm running for my life. If you're headed for Beacon 2, turn back. You're walking into a trap." Nara froze. "Riven Solace?" she whispered. "He was the chief architect of the original Rift simulations. He vanished before the war." Cade's eyes narrowed. "Why should we believe you?" "I can prove it," Riven said. "You're Cade Voss, and you're traveling with Nara Benton, the only person who saw the Beacon Core up close. The Order wants her alive. They want her mind." Nara's heart dropped. "Cade, how does he know that?" Cade didn't take his eyes off the console. "Keep listening." Riven continued, voice trembling. "Beacon 2 isn't just a harmonic amplifier, it's a reshaper. Once it activates, it will scan every neurological signature in a 100-mile radius and rewrite them." A chill shot down Nara's spine. "Rewrite?" she echoed. "Erase," Riven whispered. "Your memories, your identity, your entire consciousness." Nara felt her stomach turn cold. Cade leaned forward. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because I helped build the system," Riven said, regret dripping from every syllable. "Once Beacon 2 activates, the rift won't just open, it will think, and it will use every absorbed mind to grow."
Nara paled. "It feeds on thought?" "Yes," Riven said. "That's why it needs Nara Benton."
Cade slammed his fist into the dashboard. "I knew it, damn it." Nara stared at him. "What does that mean?" Cade's voice was tight. "Your neural signature is unique. Whatever you saw during the first rift collapse, whatever imprint it left on your mind, Beacon 2 needs it to fully awaken." Nara felt like the ship tilted beneath her. "So the Order is using the beacon to steal me?" "Not just steal," Riven whispered. "To merge." The word echoed through the cabin like a death sentence. Nara swallowed hard. "Where are you now?" "In the ruins outside Beacon 2, Riven answered. "But the Order is closing in. If you want the access codes, you'll have to get to me fast." Cade muted the channel. "Well?" she asked. He looked at her. "We trust him." Nara nodded. "Set course for the Helios wastes." The dropship shifted direction, and the chase began. The Helios wastes. The landscape below transformed from rugged mountains to sprawling, dead plains scorched black by geothermal eruptions centuries ago. Cracked earth stretched to the horizon like a shattered mosaic, threaded with streams of glowing magma far beneath. The sky darkened, stained with red and orange streaks from the rift pulses. Nara wiped her palms against her pants. "This place feels cursed."
"It's unstable," Cade said. "Magnetic fields, geothermal spikes, unpredictable storms. Perfect for hiding a beacon no one wants found." As they descended, the radar erupted with warning pings. Nara leaned forward. "Multiple signatures, closing fast." Cade cursed. "The Order's scouts, they tracked us." The dropship shook as the first projectile streaked past. "Hold on!" Cade shouted. The aircraft rolled sharply, evading a burst of plasma fire. Nara's stomach lurched as the horizon flipped. She grabbed the secondary controls. "I've got starboard." "Good, because we're not outmaneuvering them on speed." A squadron of sleek, triangular attack drones swept into view, their red-eye sensors glowing ominously. Nara fired the side cannons, scattering the formation. 2 drones exploded in spirals of blue flame. 3 more replaced them immediately. "They're endless," she shouted. "They're stalling us," Cade growled, "trying to keep us from reaching Riven." The dropship jerked again, this time violently as a drone clipped their wing stabilizer. Warning alarms flashed. Damage reports flooded the screens. "Cade, if we take another hit—" "I know." He slammed the throttle forward and dove toward the ground. The drones followed in a deadly spiral. The Helios wastes rushed upward. "Cade!" Nara gasped. "We're going to crash!" "No," he said. "We're going to hide." At the last second, Cade deployed a seismic cloak. The ship shimmered and vanished into a pocket of refracted light just before the ground swallowed them. The dropship plunged into an underground tunnel, skimming the molten-lit stone walls by inches. The drones searched above, missing them entirely.
Nara exhaled shakily. "That was insane." Cade smirked. "You say that like it's new." She couldn't help a faint smile back. The ship slowed, coasting through the cavern system. Riven's coordinates blinked on the map, just ahead. Nara's heart thudded. This was it. They were about to meet the man who could either save humanity or doom it completely. Riven's solace. The tunnel opened into a massive ruin, crushed pillars, shattered machinery, and glowing fissures cutting through the earth. Geothermal steam hissed from the cracks, bathing the area in shimmering heat waves. Nara and Cade stepped out of the ship, weapons drawn. The air was scorching. "Riven?" Cade called. "We're here!" For a moment, nothing moved. Then, a man limped out from behind a collapsed console. He was thin, pale, coated in dust and dried blood.
One arm hung at an unnatural angle, a makeshift bandage pressed against his ribs. But his eyes were bright with desperate intelligence. "You came," he breathed. Nara stepped forward cautiously. "You're hurt." "Order Patrol," Riven said with a weak laugh. "They didn't want me leaking anything." Cade scanned the perimeter. "How long before they return?" "Not long." Riven reached into his coat and pulled out a glowing data shard. "These are the Beacon 2 access codes and the coordinates for the core chamber." He held it out. Cade reached for it. A gunshot cracked. Riven staggered.
Nara screamed, diving forward. Cade grabbed her arm, pulling her back into cover behind a fallen column. From the ridge above the ruins, figures emerged, cloaked, masked, armed with pulse rifles. The Convergence Order. Their leader stepped into view, tall, armored, wearing a smooth, mirrored mask that reflected the flickering geothermal light. "Commander Voss," the masked figure said, "Nara Benton, you will surrender peacefully." Nara's heart pounded. Cade tightened his grip on his blade. "Over my dead body," he growled. The masked leader tilted their head. "That, unfortunately, is the plan." The Order soldiers raised their weapons, and the ruins erupted in gunfire, light, and chaos. The ruins ignited with chaos. Energy bolts streaked through the scorching air as Nara and Cade dove behind a fractured column. Stone exploded around them, shards flying like shrapnel. The Convergence Order soldiers advanced with precise, emotionless efficiency. Formation tight, rifles unerring. "Cade!" Nara shouted over the gunfire. "Riven's hit! He's bleeding out!" "I see him." Cade peeked from cover and fired a rapid volley. 3 red beams ricocheted off the soldiers' kinetic shields. They advanced unfazed. "They upgraded their armor," Cade muttered. "Of course they did." "Can we flank them?" Nara asked, gripping her plasma baton. Cade shook his head. "Too exposed. But if we can force them towards that geothermal fissure." Before he could finish, a grenade-sized device rolled across the cracked ground and landed inches from Nara's boots. Her eyes widened. "EMP?" "No," Cade said sharply. "Flash pulse. Close your eyes, Nara. Now." She dropped instantly and covered her face. The world detonated in white.
The blast waves slammed through the ruins. Even with her eyes shut, Nara saw the flash sear through her eyelids. The sound struck like a thunderclap against her skull. Her ears rang. Her vision swam. She forced herself upright, blinking through the haze. Cade was already pulling her behind another slab of collapsed architecture. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, disoriented. "Yeah, where's Riven?" "Still alive, barely." Cade ducked low and sprinted toward Riven's collapsed form. Energy bolts chased him, burning molten pits in the ground. A drone swooped overhead, scanning with a red beam. Nara gritted her teeth. Not again. She activated her baton and hurled it like a spear. The crackling blade pierced the drone's stabilizer core. Sparks erupted. The machine spun wildly, then crashed into a pillar. Cade glanced back. "Nice throw." She allowed herself the briefest smirk. "Still better than you." Gunfire intensified around them. The Order advanced unchecked. The masked commander stepped forward, voice echoing across the ruins. "Nara Benton, stop resisting. You are not our enemy. You are our key." Nara stiffened behind cover. Cade growled, "Ignore them." But the commander continued calmly, almost gently. "You carry the imprint of the first rift collapse, the echo pattern. Only you can open the core chamber without catastrophic failure." Nara clenched her fists. She hadn't told anyone about the visions she sometimes saw, the fragments of impossible geometry, frequencies whispering, and the swirling light she never fully escaped from. "How do you know about that?" she shouted. The commander tilted their head.
Because we scanned your memories years ago. Nara's breath caught. What? She whispered.
Cade's expression turned murderous. They violated the neural archives. The commander gestured toward the ruins. We do not seek to harm you. Beacon 2 will merge your pattern with the rift. You will transcend your physical limitations and join the woven continuum of reality. Nara blinked, horrified. You want to turn me into energy, into evolution, into fuel, Cade snapped. You mean fuel. The commander ignored him. Don't resist destiny, Nara. Embrace what you were meant to become. Nara's stomach twisted. Her vision flickered, unzipping into glowing lines for half a heartbeat. Not again. Not now. Cade touched her shoulder. Stay with me. Don't let them in. A sharp gasp tore from her throat as the ruins shifted in her perception. The patterns, the lights, the geometry whispering her name. Nara, Cade said firmly, gripping both her shoulders. Focus on my voice. Look at me. She forced her eyes open. His face anchored her, steady, real. The hallucinations faded. Good, Cade said softly. Don't let the rift imprint take control. Before she could respond, Riven moaned weakly from the clearing. Cade, Nara, listen. They rushed to him. Riven lay half-conscious, blood pooling beneath him. His face had gone pale, his breathing shallow. Cade, take the shard, he whispered. Cade pried the glowing data shard from Riven's hand. What's on this? Core, chamber, map, and override codes, Riven gasped. You have to shut it down before it stabilizes. Nara leaned closer. How long do we have? Riven coughed violently. Minutes, maybe less. The beacon's harmonic cycle is almost complete. Cade's jaw tightened. We need another way out. The order is closing in.
Nara scanned the surroundings. There's a secondary access tunnel on the west side, buried under debris. Cade looked at her. How do you know that? Because, she hesitated, I think I've seen this place before, in my visions. Riven's eyes widened. The rift imprint, of course, it's guiding her. Cade shook his head. We'll unpack that later. For now, lead the way. Nara nodded and helped Cade lift Riven. Together, they ran toward the western ruins as energy bolts tore the ground behind them. The masked commander raised a hand. Do not kill them. Send the hunters. Two towering figures stepped from the shadows, 7-foot armored soldiers with glowing blue visors and multi-limbed mechanical augmentations. Hunters, created to track a target until either the target or the world ended. Nara's blood went cold. Cade! He sees them. Move! The collapsed tunnel. They reached a mound of shattered stone wedged between two broken pillars. Steam hissed through the cracks. This is it. The tunnel entrance is under that column. Cade inspected the debris. That thing weighs 3 tons. Riven coughed. There's a seismic access panel on the right side, under the heat plate. Nara scrambled to the glowing basalt plate half embedded in the ground. She burned her fingers, moving it aside, revealing a metallic hatch. Cade knelt beside her. Can you open it? I can try. She tapped the override panel. No power. Cade handed her a plasma cell. Try jump-starting it. She connected the wires. The hatch sputtered, sparked, then snapped open with a violent hiss. A narrow tunnel dropped into darkness below. Cade slid Riven inside first, then jumped down after him.
Nara, he called up. Get down here. But she hesitated. The hunters were close,
too close. Metal scraped stone. Heavy footsteps thundered toward her. One hunter, a massive creature of metal and muscle, leaped into the clearing. Its mechanical limbs gleamed, powered by glowing blue conduits. Its helmet visor locked onto her. Target acquired. Nara dove into the tunnel as the hunter swung its bladed arm. Metal screeched above her head, shaving the stone like butter. She landed roughly beside Cade, gasping. The hunter forced its arm through the hatch, tearing metal apart. Cade fired upward. Sparks erupted off the hunter's armor. "Go!" he shouted. "Move!" The three of them rushed deeper into the tunnel, while the hunter ripped at the entrance, widening it with terrifying strength. It wouldn't take long before it got through. The tunnel sloped sharply downward, illuminated only by Cade's lantern. Steam burst from narrow cracks as geothermal pressure built. "Nara," Cade whispered, "these tunnels aren't stable." He nodded grimly, which is why the Order won't risk following us this way. That buys us time. "Unless the hunters don't care about dying," she muttered. They don't. They pressed on through the sweltering underground labyrinth, the air growing hotter with every step. Nara's lungs burned. Riven stumbled repeatedly, pain distorting his face. Finally, the tunnel widened into a cavern. Cade scanned the room. This way. But Nara stopped abruptly. Her vision warped again, lines of light tracing across the cavern floor, forming a geometric shape, a circle, a sigil, a door. "Nara?" Cade asked. "What is it?" I can see the path. The imprint is showing me."
Her eyes followed the glowing lines only she could see. She touched a blank wall. It vibrated, then split open. Cade stared. "How did you—" "I don't know," she said breathlessly. "It's like the beacon recognizes me." Riven coughed violently, blood streaking his lips. "She's linked to the rift. That's why. She's the key." Nara swallowed hard. This wasn't just visions. Something in her mind was connecting with the ancient tech, and it scared her more than the hunters. "Let's keep moving," Cade said, masking his worry. "We're close." Beacon 2. They stepped into a colossal chamber. The air buzzed with energy. Massive arching structures spiraled around a central sphere suspended by glowing coils of energy. The sphere pulsed with slow, rhythmic light, breathing like a living organism. Nara's heart raced. Beacon 2. The geothermal ducts fed power upward, creating a humming vibration that resonated in her bones. Her vision flickered, half real, half encoded data. She could feel the beacon watching her. Riven collapsed to his knees. The core chamber is beyond that sphere. Cade pressed the data shard into a console. "Tell me this works." The console lit. A holographic gate opened beneath the sphere. Nara exhaled. "We made it." The moment was short-lived. A metallic roar echoed from the tunnel behind them. One of the hunters tore into the chamber, its armor scorched, limbs twitching with fury. "Run!" Cade shouted. The chamber erupted in chaos again.
Nara grabbed Riven, hauling him toward the core gate. Cade met the hunter head-on, blades flashing. The giant machine swiped, slamming Cade into a pillar. He grunted but rolled away just as the hunter's mechanical arm cracked the stone. "Nara, go!" Cade yelled. "Get him to the core!" Nara pulled Riven through the gate, but as she crossed the threshold, the light shattered around her. She stumbled into the core chamber and froze. The core chamber. The chamber was spherical, walls covered in shifting geometric patterns that reconfigured themselves constantly. Streams of light flowed like living veins. At the center,
hovered a crystal-like structure, fractured, incomplete, pulsing with unstable energy. The rift core fragment. Nara's breath shuddered. Riven clutched her shoulder. That is the heart of the rift. She stared at it, and the fragment stared back. Her vision exploded with fractal light. Endless corridors of time, spirals of memories not her own, voices whispering in impossible languages, moments of other universes bleeding through. "Nara," Riven gasped, "don't let the core absorb you." She staggered, gripping her head. The core pulsed again, and a beam of light shot toward her. She screamed, and everything went white. Meanwhile, Cade versus the Hunter. The Hunter smashed Cade against the floor. The impact rattled his bones.
Cade rolled just as the Hunter stabbed downward, its blade carving a crater into the stone. He fired an energy bolt directly into its eye. The Hunter convulsed, visor cracking but not breaking. "Come on, you ugly machine," Cade growled. "I've fought bigger." The Hunter roared. It lunged. Cade dodged, barely. He sliced one of its mechanical limbs off, sparks lighting the chamber. The Hunter grabbed him by the throat. Cade gagged, kicking desperately. An alarm blared overhead. Beacon 2's core surged with energy, reacting to Nara. Cade's eyes widened. Nara. He stabbed both blades into the Hunter's arm. The machine faltered, grip loosening. Cade broke free and sprinted toward the core chamber. Inside the core, Nara floated in blinding light, her body suspended, her mind drowned in visions. A voice whispered, "You are the echo." She gasped, struggling to breathe. Another voice echoed, "Nara, stay with me." Cade. She reached toward the sound, but the core pulled harder. Her vision warped, and she saw it. A glimpse of the future, of the rift fully open, of cities dissolving, of time unraveling, of humanity screaming in silence. "No," she whispered. "No, I won't let this happen." She forced her consciousness back, fighting the current. The core shrieked in response. The chamber trembled. Energy cracked the walls. And then, Cade burst through the doorway. "Nara!" he yelled. His voice anchored her like gravity. She collapsed onto the stone floor, trembling. The core faltered, pulsed erratically, then stabilized, barely. Cade rushed to her side. "I've got you."
Nara clutched his shirt, gasping for air. "I saw it," she whispered. "The rift, what it becomes. We can't let Beacon 2 activate." Cade nodded. "Then we shut it down, now." Riven staggered toward them, barely conscious. "You'll need to overload the core fragment, reverse its polarity." Nara nodded fiercely. "I can do it." She stepped toward the core again, but a cold voice echoed through the chamber. "You cannot." The masked commander stepped inside, flanked by the second Hunter. Cade raised his weapon. The commander shook their head. "You cannot stop the evolution of humanity." Nara stepped forward defiantly. "Watch me." The core flared, and the final battle for Beacon 2 began. The countdown on the holo display pulsed like a living heartbeat as the asterisks tore through the Veil Nebula, slipping into a dim corridor of space that looked like a wound torn open across the galaxy. Nara stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the swirling fractures of violet light ahead. These rifts were not natural. They were scars, each one an echo of something older, colder, and infinitely hungrier than anything humanity had ever imagined. Cade sat beside her,
silent for once, the truth of their mission finally settling on him like a weight. Daedra 9 was more than a target. It was the anchor point of the invasion, the birthplace of the anomaly that had whispered through galaxies and crushed worlds long before humans ever touched the stars. As the Asterix exited hypershift, the planet appeared, dark, metallic, pulsing faintly with a reddish glow like a dying ember. No oceans, no cities, only a metallic crust marked with trenches that were too perfect to be natural. Dr. Leon adjusted the vessel's sensors, her voice low with astonishment. The planet was not a planet at all. It was a structure, a massive machine buried beneath the surface of a dead world. A machine with a single purpose, to create the gateways that had swallowed entire civilizations. And now it had awoken again. "We may be too late," she whispered, "or this may be exactly when we're needed."
The Asterix touched down on a plateau near a massive circular vault. The ground vibrated under their boots as if something deep beneath was breathing, slow, heavy, ancient. Nara felt the familiar tremor run through her spine, the same one from childhood visions she never understood. Memories not her own, voices speaking in a forgotten tongue, and above all, the image of a colossal machine shaped like a spiral with a glowing core. Now she stood before it. The entrance opened as if recognizing her. The gate's metallic petals unfurled, releasing a gust of cold air that carried the smell of stone, metal, and time. The interior was a cathedral of alien engineering, walls layered with symbols that shifted like living ink. Lights flickered along the floor in the pattern of a pulse, guiding them deeper. The air was heavy, thick with unspoken language. Suddenly, the lights along the corridor surged forward, forming a path toward a chamber at the center. They followed cautiously, weapons ready. But Nara didn't feel fear, she felt recognition, as if she had walked these halls in another lifetime or in a dream woven into her blood. The central chamber was a vast spherical room, dominated by the core, a floating orb of light wrapped in mechanical petals. It radiated immense energy and something else, consciousness. Cade approached slowly, scanning the core. Without warning, tendrils of light unfurled, probing the air like seeking hands. Instinctively, the team raised their weapons, but Nara lifted her hand to stop them. The light wrapped around her arm like warm silk, not harming her, but reading her. Inside her mind, a voice rose, not spoken, not heard, but understood. "Key-bearer, you return." Her knees weakened. She saw flashes of other galaxies, other worlds, other versions of her across millennia. Lives where she fought the same machine, lives where she failed, lives where she succeeded. Cade grabbed her shoulders, grounding her. "Nara, what's happening?" She blinked rapidly as the visions faded, swallowing the tremor in her throat. I think I'm connected to this thing, and it's waking up." Before she could say more, the chamber shook violently. Red cracks split across the floor. Something enormous was rising. The Sentinel constructs, towering machines shaped like twisted humanoids, emerged from the walls, their eyes glowing like molten stars. Dr. Leanne shouted, ducking behind a pillar as laser beams scorched the air above her. Cade fired, but the blasts ricocheted harmlessly off their armor. The constructs moved with terrifying precision. Nara raised her palm, and the core pulsed in response. A shockwave burst outward, knocking the constructs back. The connection was real, alive.
The Asterix touched down on a plateau near a massive circular vault.
The ground vibrated under their boots, as if something deep beneath was breathing, slow, heavy, ancient. Nara felt the familiar tremor run through her spine, the same one from childhood visions she never understood. Memories not her own, voices speaking in a forgotten tongue, and above all, the image of a colossal machine shaped like a spiral with a glowing core. Now she stood before it. The entrance opened as if recognizing her. The gate's metallic petals unfurled, releasing a gust of cold air that carried the smell of stone, metal, and time. The interior was a cathedral of alien engineering, walls layered with symbols that shifted like living ink. Lights flickered along the floor in the pattern of a pulse, guiding them deeper. The air was heavy, thick with unspoken language. Suddenly, the lights along the corridor surged forward, forming a path toward a chamber at the center. They followed cautiously, weapons ready. But Nara didn't feel fear, she felt recognition, as if she had walked these halls in another lifetime or in a dream woven into her blood. The central chamber was a vast spherical room dominated by the core, a floating orb of light wrapped in mechanical petals. It radiated immense energy and something else, consciousness. Cade approached slowly, scanning the core. Without warning, tendrils of light unfurled, seeking the air like hands. Instinctively, the team raised their weapons, but Nara lifted her hand to stop them. The light wrapped around her arm like warm silk, not harming her, but reading her. Inside her mind, a voice rose, not spoken, not heard, but understood. Key-bearer, you return. Her knees weakened. She saw flashes of other galaxies, other worlds, other versions of her across millennia. Lives where she fought the same machine, lives where she failed, lives where she succeeded. Cade grabbed her shoulders, grounding her. Nara, what's happening? She blinked rapidly as the visions faded, swallowing the tremor in her throat.
I think I'm connected to this thing, and it's waking up. Before she could say more, the chamber shook violently. Red cracks split across the floor. Something enormous was rising. The sentinel constructs, towering machines shaped like twisted humanoids, emerged from the walls, their eyes glowing like molten stars. Dr. Leon shouted, ducking behind a pillar as laser beams scorched the air above her. Cade fired, but the blasts ricocheted harmlessly off their armor. The constructs moved with terrifying precision. Nara raised her palm, and the core pulsed in response. A shockwave burst outward, knocking the constructs back. The connection was real, alive. The core spoke again in her mind. The machine is a prison and a warning. The invaders built it to fracture realities. But you carry our memory. You can shut it down. She stumbled as more visions poured in, of an ancient race wiped out except for their stored consciousness in her genetic line. She was the final echo of them, their last chance to stop the cycle. But shutting down the core meant severing the anchors, each one tied to a different galaxy. It meant unleashing a storm of energy that could either save millions or erase them. The constructs rose again, adapting. Cade shouted, "Nara, whatever you're doing, do it fast!"
She stepped into the beam of the core, letting its light wrap around her. Her heartbeat synchronized with the pulsing machinery. Sparks illuminated symbols across the walls. The machinery groaned, shifting, responding. But suddenly, a deafening roar shook the chamber. The largest sentinel, twice the height of the others, burst through the far wall,
its claws glowing with unstable energy. It charged. Cade tackled Nara out of its path, but the shockwave threw them both across the chamber. Dr. Leon screamed as a beam nearly struck her. The machine advanced like a walking apocalypse. Nara rose unsteadily, blood dripping from her forehead. The core pulsed frantically, as if urging her on. She focused, letting its ancient energy course through her. The air around her crackled. Her skin shimmered like molten silver. The sentinel leaped, and Nara unleashed a blast of energy so powerful it cracked the chamber walls and sent the machine crashing into oblivion. The light faded from the constructs. They collapsed like puppets with cut strings. Silence followed. Trembling, Nara approached the core again. It spoke softly. "Anchor severed. 2 more remain, but the machine cannot withstand the collapse. You must escape." The chamber began to crumble. Cade grabbed her hand. "Let's go!" The team sprinted through the collapsing corridor as massive chunks of metal crashed behind them. Flames erupted from vents. The ground split open. The structure roared like a dying titan. They reached the surface just as the entire plateau buckled. The Asterix lifted off, engines screaming. The world machine imploded, folding in on itself like a collapsing star until it was nothing but dust and a fading glow. The first anchor, gone.
But Nara knew this was only the beginning. 2 more anchors existed across the galaxy, and the invaders were coming. She stared at the void ahead with a mixture of terror and determination. "Next stop," she whispered, "the outer helix." Cade nodded, gripping her shoulder. "Then let's finish what they started in your bloodline." And as the Asterix surged into hypershift, Nara felt the weight of destiny settle into place. Humanity had one chance, and she would carry it into the heart of the cosmic darkness. The Asterix drifted through the scattered remains of Daedra 9, its hull illuminated by the fading glow of the collapsed anchor. Behind them, the dead world was silent, like a giant exhaling its final breath. But there was no victory in the crew's eyes yet. Nara stood near the front console, her gaze fixed on the swirling frost-blue map projected in front of her. 2 more anchors, one in the outer helix, one in the rift of shadows, and time was running faster than oxygen in a broken suit. Cade entered the bridge quietly, watching the flickering lights reflect off her face. "You didn't sleep," he said gently. Nara didn't look at him. "The visions are growing stronger." "They're memories," Dr. Leon added from behind them, her hands shaking around a cup of synthetic tea. "The genetic consciousness of the ancient race, guiding you." Nara whispered, "Or warning me." The Asterix dropped out of hypershift near the outer helix, a place feared even by smugglers and warlords. A storm of crystalline asteroids orbited a hollowed star, its light flickering like a dying candle. In the center, suspended by impossible forces, was the second anchor. It looked different from Daedra 9, not built into a world, but hanging like a metallic heart in open space. Tendrils of energy pulsed from it, feeding power into the star's corpse. Something inside it was awake.
The moment their ship entered the region, a shockwave hit them. Lights flickered, metal groaned. The anchor had sensed Nara. Alarms blared. "We're being pulled in," Leon shouted. The gravitational field tightened like a fist. Cade fought the controls, sweat pouring down his forehead. The ship hurtled toward the anchor's center. Just before impact, the field snapped, and the Asterix was swallowed whole. They blinked into existence inside a cavernous metallic interior. It wasn't a structure, it was alive. Walls pulsing, veins of light running like arteries. The air vibrated with an alien hum, and holographic glyphs danced across the floor like reflections in water. Nara staggered. A voice echoed through her skull. Return the memory to the source. Sentinel constructs materialized again, sleeker, faster, and charged with unstable energy. Cade fired instantly, the blast scorching the air. Lian dove behind a pillar as 2 constructs charged. Nara raised her hand, her connection to the ancient core blazing through her veins. A shield of shimmering silver erupted around them, deflecting the first wave. But something darker was coming. The floor opened, and a massive entity rose, a sentinel unlike the others. Its core glowed crimson, and its body was made of segmented armor that shifted like liquid metal. Its voice reverberated through the chamber. Keybearer, you defy the cycle. You were made to complete it. Nara froze. Made? Cade growled, pointing his weapon at the Titan. Don't listen. But the sentinel interrupted.
Your lineage was engineered, a vessel to store the knowledge of the fallen ones. You are the fuse and the weapon. You are the reset. The truth struck like a blade. She wasn't chosen. She was created. But she wasn't a weapon for destruction. She was a bridge to the ancient hope they'd left behind. The sentinel lunged. Nara dodged, unleashing a blast of silver energy that cracked its armor. Cade and Lian circled, firing at its joints. The sentinel roared, releasing torrents of red flames that melted the floor. Panels collapsed around them, exposing swirling cosmic void beneath. The battle raged as Nara reached into the anchor's core, feeling her mind pulled into a void of stars and memories. She saw the ancient race, beings of pure energy, sacrificing themselves to seal the invaders away. She saw the invaders building the anchors to weaken reality. She saw her own ancestors hiding fragments of consciousness within genetic lines, so that one day, someone like her could ignite the final spark. She opened her eyes. I know what to do. Gathering all remaining strength, she touched the core. Light engulfed the chamber. The sentinel screamed, cracking apart, as Nara's energy surged through the anchor, shattering its engines of creation. The walls ruptured, the living structure convulsed. We have to go, Cade shouted, dragging Lian toward the ship. Nara followed, her body glowing like a fading star. The Asterix blasted out of the collapsing anchor just as it imploded, sending a shockwave so bright it turned the dead star white. 2 anchors down. 1 left.
The final anchor, the Rift of Shadows. The rift was unlike anything they had seen, a tear in space, bleeding darkness and lightning. The last anchor floated inside like an insect trapped in amber. Hundreds of sentinel ships surrounded it. A full invasion fleet waited on the other side. Nara felt the weight of entire galaxies pressing on her chest. Cade took her hand. This is it. Lian whispered, End it, Nara, or everything ends without us. The Asterix plunged into the rift, dodging beams of violet energy as sentinel ships swarmed them. They landed near the anchor's core chamber, larger, darker, and humming with a near-sentient hunger. The moment Nara entered, the lights shifted. A being began forming from shadow and electricity, the prime sentinel, the first and strongest, the creator of the anchors. Its voice shook the chamber. You cannot stop the cycle. Reality will break. Life will kneel. Nara stepped forward. Not today. The Prime unleashed a storm of black lightning. Cade and Lian shielded themselves behind debris. Nara stood alone in the open, eyes glowing with the power of the ancients. She raised both hands, energy spiraling around her. She didn't block the lightning. She absorbed it. The Prime faltered.
Cade ran to her. "Nara, no! We'll find another way!" She cupped his face gently. "There is no other way. I was made for this, so all of you could live." Leon's voice broke. "You are humanity now." Nara kissed Cade's forehead. "Save them. All of them." She placed her hand on the core. Light shot through her body, burning and beautiful. The anchor screamed as it collapsed inward, sealing every rift across the universe in a blinding burst. The invasion fleets vanished. The darkness retreated like a dying flame, and the galaxy exhaled for the first time in millennia. The chamber collapsed. The Asterix escaped through the last crack of the rift as it sealed forever. Behind them, the anchor and Nara were gone. 1 year later, on a vibrant green hill on Terra Nova, Cade stood before a monument of glass and light. A hologram shimmered, Nara's face, peaceful and strong. Children played nearby. The sky was clear. Humanity lived, free, thriving, united. Dr. Leon joined him, holding a small device. The scans picked up something near the Helix Nebula. Cade raised an eyebrow. What kind of something? Leon smiled softly. A signal. A pulse matching Nara's energy signature. Hope flickered in his eyes. "She's out there?" "Maybe," Leon whispered. "Or maybe she became part of the light that saved us." Cade looked up at the sky. Endless. Bright. Full of possibility. "Either way," he said with a smile, "she gave humanity a future, and we'll honor it." The wind carried the faintest whisper, gentle, warm, familiar. Not the end, just another beginning. And the universe, vast and reborn, opened its arms for the future of humanity.
When the dust settled and the stars dimmed, humanity stood, bruised, scarred, but undefeated. Nara's courage, Erin's sacrifice, and the strength of ordinary people reminded the universe of one truth. No force is greater than a world fighting together. If this story moved you, if it made you imagine, fear, hope, or even believe, then don't let it end here. Like the video to support the channel. Comment your favorite moment or theory. I read every one. And subscribe so you never miss the next adventure. Stay brave, stay curious, and keep the fire of humanity alive.